Here we go, game 54. Up against a mage. Don't like the sludge balancer, too expensive. Reno Jackson's pretty nice against Secret Mage. Doesn't really do anything against Quest Mage. Sometimes it does, but usually you don't want to draw it till later for when it matters. Living Roots is okay against both. So I decided to keep it. It's just some early game to help balance us out, keeping this slower Reno Jackson. So I think we're just going to play Living Roots as the two 1/1s. That way we can deal up to 3 damage on our following turn if need be, with hero power and the two 1/1s. We see the quest come out from our opponent. I like our 2 into 3 curve here, so I just go with the Scarab as the 1/5 taunt. You just want HP against the Quest Mage. It helps against their Arcane Missiles, their Flame Wakers. The 1/2 poisonous could easily die to Frost Shards, whatever that card is called. I'm just going to play our 3-drop here, and we're just kind of curving out really nicely. 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. And this is why I always try and look at the curve of whatever deck I'm playing and make sure it looks somewhat nice, because sometimes, even in Wild, when you have crazy synergies, crazy combos, curving out still can just win games. I think that's going to always be part of Hearthstone, pretty much as long as it goes on. Here we don't have a 4-drop, but we do have the 2-mana cycle with the Wrath plus hero power. If only we'd had Fendril, would have been perfect. But now next turn we can do Oasis Surger, or if we don't need to, we can set up for a bigger Oasis Surger by playing Fendril. And here are our opponents at 19. We have a pretty nice board. 9, 10, 11 HP. That's pretty difficult to deal with Flame Waker. They'd have to get like probably an Apprentice plus Flame Waker to clear this. And even if they do, we have the Oasis Surger to help clear off the 2 minions. We would definitely kill the Sorcerer, and we wouldn't be able to quite kill the Flame Waker. Here we see Banana Buffood. That's usually only played in the Reno versions of the deck because it can give 2 spells. They're pretty bad spells. I mean, they cost 1, which is nice, but they're just nowhere near the powerful spells that the non-singleton deck gets to run 2 of. I decided just to play Fendril. I want to save Oasis Surger as removal. If we were to have played the Oasis Surger 2, the Oasis Surger this turn, then the following turn, if they froze it, removed it, whatever, we wouldn't have any removal. We'd have Zephyrus, but Zephyrus is a 1-of. You want to play it in situations where you don't have anything else, or it's just really good. Opponent plays a Secret. And I'm thinking of just playing Zephyrus into the 4-mana 5/4 that destroys a Secret. The other option would be Oasis Surger just to get more stats on board, but I'm thinking it's probably Flame Ward that they picked. That'll do a lot to our board, and I just want to keep all the stats that there are. I'm a little hesitant to use Zephyrus because it's such a flexible card, but I think that's what we want to do. It's going to be hard for them to remove Fendril. Surger's likely going to be active on the following turn. It uses our mana better. And then when I think about it some more, there's not many situations where we actually need Zephyrus in this matchup. The main other situation is if they play a bunch of giants at once. So we just go for it. Got the agent SI7 Infiltrator. It was an ice block, not a flame ward, but still a good one to pop. And we put out a 3-2 and a 5-4. Suddenly, our board is huge. We have 4, 5, 6, plus 5 is 11, plus 4 is 15. We got 18 health for him to try and remove. And it looks like he doesn't have the apprentice, so this is going to be difficult for him. He does kill Fendril. A good play from our opponent. But we just have a ton of stats left over when his turn is done. Mana Cyclone, okay. But it looks like he's out of spells. And so now, our opponent's at 9. We have 8 on board if you count the hero power. There was a brief consideration to see if I could find lethal with Ferocious Howl. We could draw into Branching Paths or Zola Zephyrus. But I think this game is just unlosable. We just hero power them down to 1, and the following turn we'll just kill them with another hero power. I want to make sure we can Surger their Flamewaker. It looks like they don't have Apprentice, so it's not like they're going to complete the quest next turn and play it. If they had Apprentice, they would have definitely played it on this last turn of theirs. So we just remove the Flamewaker so they don't just do crazy stuff. And it's looking like it's going to be... They're going to need like another Discovered Ice Block or a Discover Freeze effect that can freeze us while also dealing with our board. Learn Draconic doesn't do anything. Questing Explorer doesn't do anything. They're running out of mana now to try and find Ice Block Frost Nova. Just not even a problem. We've got our hero power at the ready. And that's game. And so, there you go. We can sometimes be aggro against the Quest Mage. Just curving out. Now we're going into game 55. Up against Demon Hunter, probably going to be Odd Demon Hunter. It's been a long time since I've seen a Demon Hunter that is not Odd Demon Hunter. It looks like that has kind of taken over as the Demon Hunter deck of choice. Want to keep that Druid of the Swarm so good against their hero power. The 5 health on turn 2, they just can't deal with it. Well, they can, but it's difficult. They need like I-Beam plus hero power. Sure enough, there's Baku, upgrading their hero power. Us going first is also really nice. Whenever you're against an aggro deck, you want to go first for tempo. So they just play out a 2-1. This 1-5 should eat that very nicely. Considering playing Zola next turn just for the 2-2, we'll see if it'll die to their hero power or not, depending how much they affect the board this turn. The second Shadow Hoof Slayer plus the hero power plus the first Shadow Hoof Slayer will remove our 1-5. So it looks like Zola is not a great play here. Probably just save her to actually use her Battle Cry effect later, and instead hero power down there 2-1. The Eldrachi Warblades. Let's see if they have the Happy Ghoul to go with it. No. So here I considered playing Zephyrus for Ooze on the Warblades. The other play would probably just be Spellbreaker as a 4-3. The problem is they still have the coin. If I play Zephyrus Ooze, they could just coin into the Warglaives and clear our board, and then suddenly or without a Zephyrus, and they have a higher priority weapon. And the main thing informing my decision here is the 2-1 weapon is really not an issue for us. And I think we'd rather save Zephyrus for more intense situations that might come up later. We do have a pretty awesome hand. We have the Mulch for the Priestess of Fury, Reno Jackson if they just push for damage. The Surger if they go wide. We're pretty well set, but still, Zephyrus being such a great card he is, I don't want to use him here as just a extra 3-2 that kills a 2-1 weapon. So our opponent's going to Warglaves down our Spellbreaker. No need to save the Spellbreaker as a note. There's nothing we need to silence in their deck, so we just want the 4-3 out. So this turn we could try to Zephyrus to remove the 6-4, but once again, we can just remove it with the Surger. There's no need to use Zephyrus yet. We do lose some of our potential to clear out wide boards, but Zephyrus does that maybe even better than the Surger, depending on the situation. Another Warblades is just such low pressure. We have so much health. We're at 24. We've got Reno in hand. We can just let them hit our face for a while. I consider playing Reno here just for the 4-6, but I'm thinking the way we lose with this hand is if we just play recklessly and then they can just burst us down somehow. So I think we're just going to Dirty Rat. We have Mulch for whatever comes out if need be. Just a Henge Clan Thug. The Wrath will clear that up quite nicely. Now we have a 2-6 on board. I like this a lot better than the Reno play. Our other play was Zephyrus, but there was no reason to play Zephyrus there. There was no fort. I mean, we could have gotten Water Elemental, which would certainly be a good card to get. But I suppose the main way we lose here is like Priestess of Fury, Fury, and then Baku. Like, we have one Mulch, but we might need Zephyrus for another big minion if it comes down to that. Also, Warglaves into like a Satyr Overseer could be a way that they climb back into this game. Zephyrus stops that. But all I have is a Henge Clan Thug and a lowly Squire. And the 2-6 of the Dirty Rat showing quite nicely here, leaving behind the 2-2. So here I decide it's just, I'm going to Zephyrus. I don't want to use the Mulch on that yet. An Explosive Shot works out quite nice. Earth Elemental's a good pick too. They don't have a way of dealing with big minions of the Demon Hunter class. However, it's a bit risky. If they do get Warglaves, they can super buff up their Henge Clan Thug, and then it is just a way to lose. And then we're overloaded for 3, so just going to clear with the Explosive Shot. Hopefully we can Zola Zephyrus back. He is protected by the Dirty Rat. The other plays that turn would be like Mulch the Henge Clan Thug and then trade into the Squire with the Rat. Didn't like that, and that's why we played Zephyrus. Here we see the Satyr Overseer, but they don't have enough mana to combo it with Warglaves. So at most he gets 1/2/2. Doesn't even have an I-Beam, so our Zephyrus can trade into it. But first, let's get another Zephyrus with Zola. So we have a couple options. Definitely want to play the Alkalite of Pain. No need to play our Zephyrus. I could... there is a consideration to use this Jasper Spellstone, but there's no need to. They just have a 2/2 left. It's not very threatening. We'll save that in case they play real threats later on. And the Alkalite of Pain, really nice against Priestess of Fury. Makes it so they can't just go face and hope that she cleans up, because then we draw 3 cards. If they were to have Consume Magic Priestess of Fury, then they might have once again a chance. We would of course Mulch the Priestess. And then if they followed up with another one, we could Zephyrus and I don't know. I think at this point, as long as we don't make a huge misplay, we've pretty much won this game in every scenario possible. Here, our opponent, they're kind of seeing they're falling behind in value. They only have a few cards left. We have 4 cards in hand and the Alkalite. So they're seeing if they can just push lethal. They bring us down to 13. I cycle just because it gets to draw first when you're starting off your turn, if you're going to draw that turn anyways. And we play the Reno here. 18 HP, just like that. I think our opponent is going to concede here. They should see the writing on the wall. Yep. And that's the original reason to play this type of deck. No duplicates, so you can heal to full for 6 mana and a 4/6. Going into game 56. Up against a Paladin. So there's a lot of Paladins out there right now. There is Murloc Paladin, Hand Buff Paladin, Odd Paladin, not very prevalent, but it is out there. And then some homebrews, some Libram stuff, some OTKs, some... Every once in a blue moon you might see someone trying to make Reno work. The Righteous Cause is interesting. There's no Baku hero power, yet they're playing Righteous Cause, so I don't know what we're up against. It's not a card... It might be played in Murloc Paladin. It's not played in Hand Buff Paladin. Decided to save the Zephyrus. No need to play it here. We don't know what we're up against. I see a Licensed Adventurer, and so I know this is definitely some homebrew. It's not Murloc Paladin, not Hand Buff, not Odd for sure. And so I guess they just bank on always drawing the side quest for the Licensed Adventurer. It's an interesting deck so far. It's working. They've got a 3/2, a coin, and the quest on the way. I could Jasper Spellstone, but I have no idea what's coming, so I decided just to hold on to my resources for right now, in case we need to remove something more important. Another Licensed Adventure. So it's not a Reno deck. I'm thinking it might be an OTK deck. The coins with Auction Master Beardo and Uther of the Ebon Blade could be a way for them to combo. I think here I do Spellstone the remaining 3/2. We're starting to take a bit of damage. It feels bad. We just upgraded it, and now we're using it on a 2 health minion, but next turn we want to probably play a 5-drop, which kind of locks up all of our mana, so... Okay, and we see Call to Arms. Loot Hoarder, Knife Juggler, the Righteous Cause triggers. And so here, what I end up doing is going for Zephyr Shadow Madness on the Loot Hoarder. I'm thinking they're a combo deck. I want to deny them card draw. I want to draw to our Dirty Rat. However, what I'm not thinking about is that they have a Knife Juggler out. And they've played Righteous Quest. So they're pretty aggressive. And I think we could have played a bit more defensively. And the way to play more defensively is just play Sludge Belcher. Yes, they're going to get value from the Knife Juggler to attack our board. They're going to draw a card from Loot Hoarder, but their hand is already pretty full. And saving Zephyrus for a board wipe. Currently our hand has no good ways of catching up on board. And now our Zephyrus is dead. We don't have a way to make any sort of comeback. Yeah, I think that was a huge misplay. I think we should have just played Sludge Belcher. Following turn, we could probably come up with some board wipe with the Zephyrus. Here, I just want to kill the knife juggler, so we go for the Surger. It's not looking too bad yet, but then our opponent plays Sunkeeper Tarum, and that's just crushingly good. We go all the way down to 4. At this point, it's Reno or bust. I guess Spreading Plague would have bought us another turn. I'm kind of thinking it's game over, and then I realize I have Branching Press. That might be able to save us. I do some quick math, and I make a... I don't do the math right. I think all I have to do is armor up. I can play Crystal Merchant, and we'll have enough. But we're actually... They have exactly lethal on board. I needed to hero power to stay out of range. That said, if we had done that the following and survived, we would have just run Elise and lost anyways. So yeah, I think the big misplay that turn was playing out the Zephyrus too early. Got too locked into them being a combo deck mindset, when in fact they were putting out quite a bit of aggression. So I still don't know what their deck is. It might just be mid-range. Looks very interesting.